also the topic, the survival of Buddhism in new normal. It's really, not really, it's like a, how to say, fixed way. So for me, the survival of Buddhism, when we say survival, actually, the previous speaker, they already mentioned that survival of Buddhism and new normal. So when we say survival, so it's related to the how to survive. We are just struggling to survive. So Buddhism is not really struggling to survive. So the Buddhism is based on the truth, and Buddhism is based on the reality in fact. So to struggle for the religion or philosophy, there's a mainly two problem. Right now also we're facing the suffering. Whenever there's a suffering, we need a spiritual for antidote. And for the religion, the most difficulty to survive is the modern education system. So Buddhism is based on the facts, as I mentioned before. So fact and faith. So Buddhism based on the fact. So Buddhism based on the fact and the reality. So we no need to worry about the survival. So Buddhism is flourishing and developing more and more. So right now today I'm going to share about before I mention about the survival of Buddhism in new normal, I want to share as a Vajrayana monk, I want to share how Vajrayana or Tibetan Buddhism survive or prolong till now. I want to share a little bit about this and then I'll go back to the main topic. Okay, so first I'll talk about the Buddhism. Okay, so here we have three key words, Buddhism. So when we say Buddhism, so Buddhism, actually I don't like this word Buddhism. Better we can say Buddha Dhamma or Buddha Sasana is much more better to interact with us. So okay, let's say Buddha Dhamma. So when we say Buddha Dhamma or Dhamma, mainly it consists in two things. Buddha teaching, which in scripture, and the practice which we realize, the content of teaching we practice. So this is the real Dhamma. So normally we say Buddha Dhamma Sangha, that Dhamma means the realization. When we practice, whatever we gain, that is the real Dhamma. Okay, Buddhism consists in two things. Buddhism consists in two things. So okay, so that is the Buddhism and Buddha Dhamma. So actually I quote here some words. So also in the Pali, so I quote here like a Patipatti, Parayati and Pativet. So maybe you all know this. In Tibetan we say Lungip Temba and Tokpe Temba. This is the Buddhism or Buddha Dhamma in two things. So then I quote here also the Buddha teaching, core teaching. In the Satipatthana Sutta I quote one. So I have one question here so you can read. So the question is after Buddha demise, so how can we sustain Buddha teaching? Buddha asked question to all of us. So anybody can answer this question, the first question. Actually this is from the Satipatthana Sutta. And this, okay, I'll go back to the second thing. So it's also from the Mahayana Sutra. So also in the Theravada Sutra or Pali Canon already mentioned here. So when we realize the Dhamma, we can see the Buddha. So here Buddha doesn't mean that our history Buddha. Here also Buddha means our realization, inner Buddha. We all have a seed of Buddha. So we can also realize our inner Buddha or we can see the real Buddha's teaching. So when we realize the Dhamma, so that's the second thing. Third thing, when we say Buddhism or Buddha Dhamma, so it's also depend on the monk. So when we say monk, it depends on the Vinaya. So that's also the Buddha already mentioned in here, Vinaya. So if the Vinaya is sustained, the Buddha Dhamma will sustain. Or if the Vinaya is eternal or means to sustain, that means the monk sustain, monk can preserve the Buddha Dhamma. So for that reason, so these three things, when we divide these three things, it becomes also like a Sila, Samadhi and Panya. So Sila means based on the morality, based on the ethic. So that means monk can preserve. So three things, three trainings. So anyone can answer my first question? So if not, I'll just, okay. This is the Buddha answer for us. So this is from the Satipatthana Sutta I quote. No, from the Sutta I quote here. So till the practice of mindfulness is there, the Buddha Dhamma can sustain, prolong, or here as I mentioned here, we can survive. This is the Buddhism. So now my second, okay, this is my monastery. So here, as I mentioned before, as a Vajrayana Buddhist monk, so I will give you a little bit introduction about how Tibetan Buddhism preserved till now, as we face so many difficulties, but still we survive. So this is how we Tibetan Buddhism doing in daily life. So first, as a novice or summoning, we're learning and memorizing Buddha's teaching. So first we have to learn, memorize. And then whatever we learn, second part is like a debating. Debate means discussion. We are discussing. This is a new way of discussing. Maybe, I don't know whether you have seen this kind of thing, but we say debating means discussion. Discussion means we try to understand the real Buddha's teaching through the conversation. So our teacher give us teaching and we discuss the main topic to understand what the core teaching. That's the second thing. Third thing is also from we can get that knowledge from the teacher. So this is like a scripture knowledge. So then third one, so we are doing chanting and meditation. We chant whatever Buddha's teaching and we contemplate its meaning. So that means we are meditating. And third one, so this is also academic way of learning. And then we can gain the Geshe degree, or so we can finish this through academic way. We can become a Geshe. Geshe means it's kind of equivalent to the PhD degree. So we can finish. So this is the how we learn. So I mentioned in the text, so you can read here how much we spend. So in Tibetan Buddhist, we mostly learn more than 24 or 25 years to learn the Buddha teaching based on the Tipitaka and Tantra. So we divide the 5 major subjects. First one is like Pramana or logic. Second one is Prajnaparamita. And third one, Madhyamik and Vinaya and Abhidhamma. We divide into 5 major subjects. Then we spend learning, practicing more than 5 years to finish the course. So this is how we learn and how we practice and how we preserve Tibetan Buddhism till now. Okay, now we go back to our previous topic, survival of Buddhism in new normal. So we say new normal means we face difficulties like a COVID, but for us, we have a lot of difficulty there, not only the COVID. We have so many challenges there. So I put here a few challenges or few difficulties or few hindrances or obstacles. So first one is modern education system. Okay, let me explain it later. So modern education system itself is a challenge for us and it's also obstacle for us to sustain Buddhism, not only the Buddhism, for sustaining humanity itself. That's the one thing. Second thing is lacking knowledge of Buddha Dhamma. Okay, to sustain our Buddhism, we all need to know the real Buddha teaching, core teaching. What is the Buddha teaching? So lacking Buddha Dhamma knowledge. So third thing is lacking unity. And fourth one is lacking of activities or the more criticized from the other side means as a monk we face so much criticized from the lay people, from the not only lay or monk or whatever, we face so much criticized. So how can we challenge all those criticized? Okay, these are the 4 major. Actually there are lots of challenges there. I put here 4 things. This is the 4 challenge. So I will explain or remedy how to challenge these 4 things. So as I mentioned before, the modern education system itself is the challenges or hindrance or obstacle for us. So how it become obstacle? When we say modern education, okay, let's say for example, this COVID. So why COVID arise? Because we can say because of the modern education system. One thing is because of modern education system, it create the COVID, all this, the virus and everything we facing because of destruction of environment. It's also related to the modern education system. It's related to the modern science. Why we facing? Because in modern education system, it's mainly focused on the material. It mainly focused on the outside. It's totally lack of morality, ethic or the contact. So when we say lack of morality, so modern education is totally based on the capitalism. So self-development, or how not only the inside development but only the outside development. So it become more selfish. As a previous speaker, they already mentioned before, like from the Spain, he said capitalism. That is the how modern education system or modern technology, all this developed. So it become more and more selfish. So when more and more become selfish, then there's exploit, destruct, everything start there. So for that reason also, our COVID is the result of that education system, and that's selfish. So for that reason, what we need a compassion, first thing, and the mindfulness. Why we need a compassion? What's the relationship between compassion and the mindfulness to survival of Buddhism or new normal? So when we say compassion, compassion means not only just thinking for the another people, but also for self. So because of lack of compassion, lack of respect for another people's well-being, so we face difficulty. They create so many things, bad things. So as I mentioned before, compassion is also one of morality. To think another people's suffering, to care another people. So lack of caring, so we face difficulty. So what we need to promote compassion and mindfulness. So second thing is, we have to promote wisdom-based faith. Why we need wisdom-based faith? So for the Buddhist, as I mentioned before, lack of knowledge about the Buddha Dhamma. So if you ask like a small child or student, if you ask them what is Buddha, they will show you the Buddha statue. They will say this is the Buddha. But actually real thing, this is not really Buddha, this is a Buddha statue. So if you ask them like some kind of football player or who's the best singer, sure they will tell you like Messi or Ronaldo, they know everything very well. So for them, they're lacking Buddha knowledge. For them, they really don't know what is the real Buddha teaching, because they are oriented by the Western kind of, as I mentioned before, knowledge. And our ancestor, I'm not here blaming our ancestor, but our ancestor, even they are lacking Buddha Dhamma, not only in the here, even in my Tibetan society, our ancestor, they have a strong faith, but this faith is not really based on the wisdom-based faith. They have a strong faith on the Buddha Dhamma, but they really don't know the meaning of the Buddha teaching. So here we have to encourage people to learn Buddhism or to learn Buddha teaching, and we have to seek the wisdom-based faith. So then they can understand the Buddha teaching, and then they can promote Buddha teaching. Okay, next, I'll go next. So here, this is also related to the previous, the wisdom-based faith. So we have to educating the young monks and nuns. So when we say survival of Buddhism, is also related to the monk. So we have to nourish, or we have to educate monks and nuns. So just we go in monastery, that's not really enough for us. We have to educate. Through the education, we can practice also. Then we have to educate them, and what His Holiness Dalai Lama used to say that we have a Tipitaka in Bali canon and also the Sanskrit and Tibetan canon. But we have to think those Tipitaka not just for prayer. We have to think those as our textbook for the monk. If you go to the Western kind of modern university, college, they have a textbook. For us, Buddha teaching, Tipitaka is our textbook. So we have to learn it as a textbook. So through the textbook, whatever we learn, we have to apply in our daily life, and then we have to share with our fellow layman or fellow our monk or whatever. So first thing is we have to educate novice or monk, special for the Buddha teaching. Second thing, we have to train them modern education with ethnic, with the morality. So when we have already learned the Buddha teaching, we already have a morality, but we have to train them modern education. This is also important to survive in the society. So we are in the society, big society right now, we all facing this difficulty. So we also have to train our young monk for the modern education system. This is also one important thing too. And third thing is, we have to tell them the benefit of meditation. Many people don't know the real benefit of meditation. So we have to tell them the benefit of meditation through the education system. Then they can practice and train. Third thing is critical and the receptive. When we say critical and receptive, so the student who learning in the Western kind of education, they are very critical, they are very skeptical, but they are really not receptive or acceptable. So we need both critical thinking and accept what we are facing in reality. So as before I mentioned, unity. lack of unity. When we say lack of unity, this is what we need. Unity among the humanity. Unity among the intra-religion. Here, intra-religion means unity among the same faith. As we are Buddhist, as mentioned before, they have three kinds of Buddhism here, Theravada, Vajrayana or Mahayana. Among the three religions, we need a unity among the religion. Whether we accept those religion or not, whether we follow those religion or not, but we have to accept and we have to unity. Through the unity, we can prolong Buddha teaching. This is the one important thing to religious harmony. We should be unity. So for that reason, what I appreciate IBSC is because IBSC, they give us the platform to learn three traditions, Theravada, Mahayana and Vajrayana, so we can prolong Buddha teaching, so we can learn all tradition, so we can understand. So this is also one important thing to prolong Buddha teaching. Third thing, okay, another thing is interfaith. Interfaith means the faith or the unity among the religion. We have to respect another religion, but we have to keep our faith on our own religion, Buddha. But we have to respect. Why we have to respect other religion? Because in the world there are many religions like majority Christian, Islam, Hindu, whatever. They also helping many peoples. Through those religions, people also get lots of benefit. Millions of people get benefit. For that reason, we have to respect. And also we need the unity among the all religion. When there's a unity among the all religion, then through this way we can bring unity among the humanity. So when we have a unity among the humanity, automatically we can solve the problem. There is a peace. When there's no unity, lack of peace. Lack of peace means the crisis, suffering. So as I mentioned before, the lack of education. So we have to promote education, and we have to make a dialogue between the modern science and, okay, they have a many fields Buddhism can promote. So one thing, His Holiness Dalai Lama used to say that we can divide, Buddhism is not really the religion itself. Buddhism can be divided into many ways. Buddhism, we can say mind training or science of mind. So Buddhism can divide into three things. First one, Buddhist religion. Second one, Buddhist science. And third one, Buddhist philosophy. So we can make a seminar or dialogue with the many fields of academic. So through this way we can prolong, through this way we can share Buddha teaching to the modern scholars, scientists, all these things. They can understand the real meaning of Buddha teaching, and then we can also sustain our Buddha teaching. So that means we can engaging the activities. So as I mentioned before, someone said that we're facing difficulty in the monastery. Yeah, it's also true. We're facing many difficulty in the monastery, facing difficulty in the society. So the rich monastery, or those who has the rich monastery, big monastery, we have to engage in the activity, charitable activity. So through this way, we can give our Buddha teaching, not only the teaching, also materials to the poor people. So we can reach Buddha teaching. First, we have to give dana or material. Because when people hungry, they can't think about the Buddha teaching. They have to feed their stomach. When we feed the stomach, then we can give them Buddha teaching. So here we need also the charity. This is also one important thing to sustain Buddha teaching. So also we can take example from the Christian. The Christian, they also doing all these things, charity and all these things. So we can take example from them and apply in our life and the Buddhism way of life. Okay. Last, I'll conclude here. So, as I mentioned before, we need to educate, and we have to sowing seed of compassion, and then the unity, and the last one is engaging charitable. But for all these, what we need to practice Sila, Samadhi, and Panya. Through this way, we can train ourselves. Without training ourselves, we can't train another people. We can't train the others. So first, we have to train yourself. Then you can train another people. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you so much, Pante Tenzin Doji. Does anyone here has questions? Oh.
So thank you, Dhamma Venerable Tenzin Doji. So I want to as one question. So you mentioned many different point of views according to Buddhist perspectives, especially three trainings: Sila, Samadhi, Pinya, and mindfulness, especially based on the stage Panna Sutta. So other speaker also mentions how to live with the Buddha teachings, how to write the Buddha Dhamma Sangha, and especially the mindfulness. It's very good. It's the best way to live the mindfulness. Because of whatever we go, wherever we stay, wherever we live, we need mindfulness. It's very good. Now that we have to go back to the Buddha time, we have to notice the Buddha time. So Buddha time, with Sadi city was the crisis, including the Yogandhra, Tarandra, and Dobhikandra. So most of people, at that time, most of people died with the crisis. So Buddha said Ananda. So Ananda very clear understand. That's why Ananda go to the Vedali city to recite the Rana Sutta to solve this crisis. So I want to ask, do you believe that the Rana Sutta to solve COVID-19 in this time?
Okay, thank you. But I don't know really you mentioned name of one sutta.
The Rana Sutta.
What is the core teaching? Sorry,
This is the
Okay, yeah. But I really don't know the core teaching, but we don't have much time. So I can feel that whatever Buddha said, in our tradition, we believe even in Buddha one word, we say ah. In Tibetan, we say ah. This is the Buddha. When Buddha say ah, that's also it can, meaning whole Buddha teaching, including that teaching. So when we practice that or learn that teaching, we can free from the suffering and we can become like the highest, the phala or fruit is nibbana. So we can gain that. So same thing here. You mentioned one sutra, but I really don't know that sutra. But sure, I think because Buddha's teaching, the main Buddha teaching or core teaching is to free from suffering, to free from the samsara. So when we say free from some suffering, the COVID is one part of suffering. So sure, if you practice whatever Buddha mentioned in that sutra, sure we can free from suffering, and then the ultimate goal is nibbana or arahant. So sure we can gain that level. So but directly related to this COVID or not, but I don't know. But we can through this practice, we can eradicate its root. Okay, so we facing COVID suffering, so the main root is the lobha dosa moha. So through this teaching, we can eradicate the lobha dosa moha and special moha, ignorance. So when we eradicate the root of suffering, samudaya, so we can free from the suffering, and then I think it can. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Billion thanks to Bhante Tenzin Dorji, our MA student from International Buddhist Study College.